Let's talk about Green Lantern hate crime. Yes, this is an actual Green Lantern story arc, and it's a pretty well-written story. People nowadays talk about how modern comics are super woke and there's a bunch of forced diversity, but we know people who actually read comics know that there's always been these types of themes explored in this medium. I feel like this story handles this serious topic very, very well, and the way that it plays into the other characters and how they have to interact with this serious topic, it's done really, really well. Green Lantern Kyle Rayner stops holding back in this series, and he's kind of scary, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know he could get devious how he did in this series. The story starts off with a young boy in an interrogation room crying. This boy's name is Dave, and he's describing the previous night that he spent with his boyfriend, Terry. They were at a club for a few hours, and they later left to walk the streets. They were holding hands on the street, and they kissed. But not even a few seconds later, they realized that they were being followed. They tried to run away to get help, but there was no one on the streets to help them, and for some reason their phone signal wasn't working. But then one of the goons following them yelled a homophobic slur. The kids ran for their lives, and they decided to split up so that they were harder to find. David had ran away, and all of the goons went after Terry, and they brutalized him. David, not knowing what happened, was cowering in fear and full-blown tears, and once he left, he found Terry, and Terry was unconscious on the ground. We then cut to the next page of Terry in the hospital, and man, this attack that was done on him was brutal. He has a broken arm, 2 broken legs, one being broken in 3 places. He also had a small fracture in his skull, and he might even lose an eye. They beat this child, who was 17 years old, into a bloody coma, and he's probably going to die. When Kyle was notified of this, he raced to the hospital, and he was angry. Terry and Kyle was pretty much friends, and Kyle was kind of like a mentor figure to Terry. We see Kyle, Jade, and Dave in the waiting room, and Jade is just trying to comfort Dave. Dave had convinced himself that it was his fault that his boyfriend was brutally assaulted, and not the vicious goons who did the crime. Jade hugged Dave and told him it was just a kiss. That's all it was. Does he deserve all of this just for that? Kyle stormed out of the room and looked at Terry's brutalized body, his eyes glowing bright green. Kyle then gets interviewed by the police, and they ask him how he knows Terry and if he has any information that can help them out. Kyle was basically Terry's art teacher, and they knew each other because Terry worked under Kyle for Feast magazine. Now the cop tries to downplay this blatantly obvious brutal hate crime, asking questions like, what kind of crowd did he run with? Or did he have any drug habits that you know about? And Kyle straight up looks like he wants to knock this dude out, bro. Now the cop then leaves to talk to another detective and tells Kyle to wait. And Kyle uses his Green Lantern ring to make a hearing construct so that he can eavesdrop on their conversation. The cop says that one of the 3 goons was identified and is in Rikers Island. However, he's refusing to identify or name the 2 other goons who helped him almost take this kid's life. The cops are not leaking this information to the press because, well, in his words, all hell would break loose. The detective says that the chances of them actually finding the other culprits are very low, as they likely will skip town. This page ends with Kyle Rayner's face, and he looks like he's about to do something crazy. The next page cuts to Rikers Island, and like all criminals who do horrible things, this one was put in protective custody, and he's sleeping peacefully until he wakes up to a bright green glow. Kyle says, Daniel Hirsch, I see you've been put in protective custody. Not making friends, huh? Daniel says, geez, how did you get in here? You're the Green Lantern. Kyle responds, where are the 2 others who helped you beat up that teenager? Daniel immediately cowardly screams for a guard, but Kyle had already soundproofed the room with his ring. No one can hear them. Kyle then pins Daniel to the wall, and Kyle screams, tell me where your friends are. And when Daniel denies, Kyle breaks his wrist with a thought. He then squeezes the broken wrist as Daniel screams in pain. Kyle says, we've got all night. There's a hologram sitting in front of this cell that makes it look like you're sleeping. No one will know. Tell me or I'll break the other wrist. Daniel didn't respond quick enough, so Kyle shatters his other wrist. Daniel then gives up the location of the 2 goons who helped him beat that kid up, and the comic then cuts to those same 2 goons attempting to flee the city. But before they can even leave, they crash into a bright green construct. We then see Kyle Rayner in his Green Lantern suit, and he pleads for the criminals to take a swing at him. Kyle then says, oh, don't be like that. Bring some of that hardcore stuff on. I'll even turn my back. Come on, you get a free shot. The goons then get a stick, and right as they're about to hit Kyle, Kyle rocks him in his face. It's only 2 against 1 instead of 3. I'm not a 120-pound teenager trying to defend himself against guys who are twice his size, who then got smashed in his face with a brick. You kept hitting him after he went down, didn't you? Jumping on his chest, kicking his head. Kyle returns the same brutality that these goons inflicted on that kid. He returns it on them plus 100. Kyle then screams, "Come on, let me see some of that toughness. Show me some of that muscle it takes to beat a little boy to death." Kyle screams, "Come on, I want to see it." These men aren't saying anything. They aren't keeping the same energy they had for the teenager. After viciously, brutally beating them, Kyle is holding one of the goons up with a black eye and blood all over his face. The man pleads for mercy, saying, "No, don't, please." And Kyle pauses, remember who he is, and stops, giving this man mercy that he certainly didn't deserve and he certainly didn't have for Terry. The two goons then get arrested and Kyle leaves to go to the hospital to check on Terry, but Terry is still in a coma and won't wake up. We then cut to the next comic where the news is giving the public an update. The three assailants were taken to jail and are being charged with felony assault and hate crime. All three of them pled not guilty. And then a very interesting person showed up, which I didn't expect. President Luthor actually spoke on the incident. Luthor offered his support and prayers for Terry. He urged that parents take a guiding hand in education of young people. Tolerance and understanding begins at home. Do you guys think Luthor is being genuine about this, or he doesn't care at all and he's just doing it because, well, he's the president? Nonetheless, Kyle is still super angry about the incident, so he hits up the Flash to ask him to go back in time and change the events so that Terry wouldn't have been beaten. But Wally declines. Kyle asks, "What's the point of being heroes if we can't actually save people?" And Flash tells him that this isn't about Terry. This is about every teenager who is terrified about being different, whether it's race, appearance, beliefs, who they love, etc. Kyle still says, "We can undo this. We can take this one day back." But Batman then shows up and says, "We all want a day back, but we can't ever take it. We can't pick and choose who we dart back through time to help. We go forward, Kyle. We stop it next time." I think if anyone knows about Lost and if anyone would like to get a day back or redo something, it would be Batman. However, Kyle's grieving right now. He's very angry, so he scoffs at Bruce's words and he tells him, "You don't even remember what it's like to be a person, much less a hero." And Batman responds, "You mean a hero who breaks into Rikers Island and fractures the wrists of an inmate to attain information?" Kyle is silent because he knows he just got checkmated. "You pull the same garbage 100 times a day." But Bruce responds, "Maybe, but that's me, isn't it?" Kyle has no rebuttal, so he leaves. Kyle later gets back to Earth and Jade is screaming at him in excitement. She tells him that Terry is awake and out of his coma. Kyle walks up to Terry and says, "It's good to see you, buddy." Terry can't talk, but he can write. And unfortunately, he suffered amnesia, so he doesn't even remember the attack or what happened to him. And emotionally, he writes, "What happened to me?" as tears roll down his eyes. No one will tell him what happened to him. After the incident, Kyle later talks to Jade, and Kyle is just like, "Jen, I can't do this anymore." Jade is like, "Do what?" "Protect Earth." I've been thinking about something Brainwave said a few months back about what drove him insane. He said that he reached into minds of millions and all he found was hate. When I was Ion, I felt it too. Jen, there is good in this world, but it doesn't measure up to the bad. In the hearts of humanity, there is anger, there is rape, there is brutality, there is hate. It took this happening to Terry to break me. I can't help these people now. I don't want to. Earth will have to get by without me. Jade is like, "What are you saying?" And Kyle says, "I want to go away for a while. I can't say how long. I want to leave Earth and I want you to come with me." Kyle Rayner and Jade then head off to space and they say that they're done with Earth. John Stewart then becomes the main Green Lantern of Earth. Hope you guys enjoyed that breakdown of this comic. This comic is really, really good. It's very, deep. It's kind of emotional and I really enjoyed it. Kyle really lost all of his hope and all of his faith in humanity after this one incident, and it is just insane to think about. I'm not gonna lie, it would have been really cool if he encountered Saint Walker in space while he had lost all of his hope and all of his faith in humanity on Earth. That would have been really cool, but I mean, Saint Walker wasn't even a character at this time. There weren't even different Lantern Corps, so that wouldn't have worked. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like, subscribe, become a member, bro, because in my next video, in my Black Panther documentary, if you're a member, you will be featured and you will be shouted out in that video.